somebody stuck it in their hand, took the yarn and went like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until they had a nice, you know, large, oh my gosh, this looks terrible. Hello, welcome back to GrayBush Knits. My name is Hannah and this is a channel all about my love of knitting. I do sometimes talk about some of my other hobbies like gardening, sourdough, or as of late I've been doing some crochet. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing for more content. And I do post videos at least once a week. Sometimes I get a couple out in 1 week. Lately, I've been very busy with essentially my second job and my third job. Full-time, I work as a veterinary technician. I do also bake sourdough for our local markets, which we are starting at the end of April. So it's kind of getting into that season and I've been really busy with that lately, but I am still trying to make some progress on my knitting and other projects, so I'm excited to still continue sharing that with you, and I may start sharing some other videos throughout the week as well of some of my other things that I'm working on. This morning I had filmed kind of doing a closet purge, and I've been trying to get a lot of garden work done. I'm just trying to figure out how to share that in a way that's going to be interesting because it's very windy here and I'm gonna have to do like voiceovers or some other audio. So I'm still playing with that, trying to create something that I would enjoy watching as well. So anyway, if that's something you might be interested in, leave a comment down below and I might be more inclined to get it out in a hurry for you. So as far as this week, I have one finished object. And let me tell you, I'm really surprised that I haven't just been, you know, knocking these out one after the other, but it's been kind of nice to have something that I can share with you that's, you know, a nice solid object. And that would be my second dragon. This is a green dragon that I had made for one of my nephews, and this is going to be a Christmas gift. So this is going to get tucked away, and I am still trying to come up with names and all of that for him. I've got a few that I'm holding on to. Right now, Elliot from Pete's Dragon. Elliot is the prime contender, but we'll see. So this dragon was made with Bernat blanket yarn primarily. It is a pattern, I don't want to forget to tell you, it is a pattern by Red Mills Crochet, and I will leave all of their information down in the description below. But this has a little bit different features. I tried to make him slightly different than the red dragon from last week. So he does have a longer muzzle, and I tried to give him some whiskers there. I thought they were so cute. That's actually with a different yarn. It's kind of more of a velvet texture. I absolutely, well, I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. I don't want to get into it right now. I did also give him a multicolor spine down his back. He has some tan wings with that same dark green velvet I used to kind of line the wings where his arm would be essentially. And then working your way down as far as his tail, I did make it, I did make it slightly different than the other dragon. I wanted something that was going to be more nature inspired, and I chose a leaf, and I didn't have a pattern for that. I just kind of winged it, I guess. And I decided to make that with the same multicolor yarn. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here, it does have a ridge right here where the stitching from the ridge on the back and down the tail, I just ran it all the way down the center of the leaf, so it does have a bit of a spine there, and I really like it. I did also reinforce it from the underside so that it hopefully won't get ripped out, even with lots of years, hopefully, of playing with it. And I absolutely love how he turned out. I am even more happy with the way that the legs and the feet turned out. The wings were fantastic. I am absolutely loving doing everything as far as like all of the piecework. The one thing that I have the hardest time with are the horns, and that's primarily because I get one, and mind you, I'm not completely paying attention to the pattern, I'm not gonna lie, but I end up doing things that are slightly different from one to the other, and I actually had the same problem with the ear somehow. This one was like perfect, I absolutely loved it. And this one somehow turned out a bit different. I don't know, but you know what? It's unique. We all have, you know, stuff that doesn't quite match. So why shouldn't he be just the same? So I left it all alone and am really happy with how he's turned out. So this is, like I said, in Bernat Blanket yarn. I really enjoy using that. The biggest problem that I do have is sometimes it's hard to find my stitches and, you know, be able to keep track of my count, but for the most part I do okay. And then, like I was saying, the felt yarn that I'm using along this area here, as well as what I used it for his nose too, but for the whiskers, that is, hold on, I forgot to grab it to show you, 1 second. Okay, so this is the Juicy Couture yarn. I purchased this at Joann's a couple weeks ago when I bought all the other yarn, and I really love the texture of it. It is a bit thinner, so I kind of had to keep that in mind and do things to kind of bulk it up a little bit. But the thing that I hate is when they package this yarn, it's like somebody stuck it in their hand, took the yarn and went like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until they had a nice, you know, large, oh my gosh, this looks terrible. But until they had like a large quantity, and then they put the paper over it. And so this is not at all a tidy way of having the yarn. I actually had taken the whole thing apart, and you can see like there is no skein to it. It's just a mess. It really irked me, and I don't know. We'll see how much of a problem it is later on when I get further down into it, because obviously I didn't need very much to work on this dragon. I do plan on making myself a green dragon as well, and that dragon I'm hoping to make even bigger than these that I'm making for my nephews. I did also finally find yarn to make one for my niece, and so that's another one that I'm going to be doing here shortly before I make my own. I keep telling myself I need to do that first, and then I will be making one of these for myself. And I think I'm probably going to be starting the one for my husband here before too long. He had wanted one that's going to resemble, well, it's going to be a black dragon, and the stitching on that's going to be pretty difficult for me to see. So that's one that I wanted to get a little bit of experience and become more comfortable before I went ahead and got into his, because that I definitely am going to have trouble seeing. So anyway, I will be sharing lots of pictures of this over on my Instagram, which is @GrayBushKnits. And if you have any questions or anything about this pattern, I would be happy to share my experience or any kind of notes with you. But I'm really excited and very pleased with how he turned out. I just want to show you how cute his face is. I love his face. He's just so sweet. So yeah, I'm thinking Elliot and maybe like a common Welsh green dragon off of Harry Potter. It's the one that, oh my gosh. What is her name? Ever hate that? You just get a brain fart. It's like you know the words, but you can't remember the words. Names for me are really bad. The older that I get, Triwizard Tournament. Let's see here. I see her face. What's her name? Ah, Floor. Good grief. So the Commonwealth green is the dragon that Floor is put up against in the Triwizard Tournament. So I'm just trying to put like a little hint of that in with some of these, and I think that I'm going to give them names and adoption certificates and all of that. I think that would be kind of fun thing to add to these dragons as I give them out for Christmas. So anyway, there he is. So as far as my works in progress this week, I have been working a bit more on my Tolsta Tee, and that is right here. I'm currently knitting this up in just some basic cotton yarn and the Kremka Stellaris kind of a glitter thread that runs with it. So far I'm doing okay. I am on the second skein of the cotton, and then the Kremka, I'm still doing pretty well as far as that goes. And just to show you where I'm at, see if I can put this in a way that you can see. So here we are, just to kind of give you an idea. I'm really close to splitting for sleeves, and so far I really like it. I know that the whole thing is oversized, and even when I tried it on, it was a bit slouchy, but I'm really loving it. I have decided that I'm just rolling with it. I don't know how long of the sleeves I'm going to make. I may actually make them fairly short, just because I tend to really like that style in the summertime. And as far as my progress since last week, so you can see here is my progress keeper from last week, and I am down here, which is a good 2.5, 3 inches, I think. Of course, I don't have a tape measure in front of me. 1, 2, yeah, about 2 3/4 inches. And this has been great to be knitting on lately. I really love the fact that I've got something that I don't really have to pay attention to. However, I do have to stop and rip back every now and then, because I will be knitting and realize that I don't have my Stellaris yarn in hand, and it's actually about 20 stitches back, so I've got to go back and find it and pick it up. So that part I'm not too excited about, but otherwise it's going really well. I have been working on this for a couple weeks now, and it is something that I'm really excited to have in my wardrobe, and which is part of the reason why I just did that closet clean out, was so that I can kind of have an idea of what I already have in my wardrobe and really put focus on some of the pieces that I'm wanting to add, and then also make sure that I'm doing those in colors that I don't just have an abundance of. Green tends to be one of those colors for me. I have a lot of green clothing, shirts, dresses, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to just kind of add in some variety. But then I was going through my closet clean out and realized I don't have that many summertime green items. So now I've got an excuse to go buy all the green yarn I want. I have been looking at a few other patterns and yarns that I'd be really excited to use, and so even though I just placed an order for yarn not too long ago, I'm likely going to be placing another one. However, I'm probably going to make myself get into the closet and see what I have in my yarn totes and make sure that I don't already have something that I could be using. Some of those yarns that I have set aside in there are already kind of earmarked for specific projects that might be for the fall or the winter. So I'm also kind of keeping that in mind as I go. But kind of along those lines, my acquisitions for this past week, I have purchased 3 different patterns. The first was the Field Day Cardigan, and this is a pattern by Ozetta. This is going to be my simple cardigan that I am craving, something that has a really nice pattern. I did order the pattern, downloaded it, printed it all out, read through the whole thing, made sure that it made sense to me, and then I do plan on casting that on here in the next couple of days, maybe even tonight. That I'm going to be doing in the purple yarn that has been through hell and back as far as multiple projects, and I can't seem to use it on anything that I truly love. So I'm really excited to try again. Hopefully 3rd time's the charm, because I am tired of ripping that yarn out. Thankfully I haven't ripped the yarn apart at all, but it's been a doozy. So I did download that pattern. I've also downloaded the Navelli pattern. This is one that I shared with you last week. I wanted to download the pattern, make sure that it was well written, make sure that I, was still as excited about it, and then I ordered the yarn. So last week I kind of mentioned this, that I had a few different yarns in mind that I had wanted to purchase. I did end up placing that order after my video went up, and I think when I checked the tracking on it earlier, I think it actually says it's going to be here tomorrow, so you can look forward to seeing that next week if it's not already started on a project. But I have enjoyed doing some of those, looking up some of those projects and then finding the yarn for them. However, lately I have been looking at, for example, I was going to get another skein of this Kremka Stellaris yarn thread. I don't quite know what to call it, but I was looking at purchasing more of that, but then I was like, well, you gotta look at the rest of the website and see what else they've got. And I was watching another podcast this last week, and one of the sweaters that she's test knitting, I absolutely fell in love with, and the whole thing is made mohair. So, of course I'm looking at all these different mohair options, and then I was looking at more yarns to use for the next pattern that I purchased, which was the Soho top by Kadri, and I did purchase yarn for that sweater already. It does call for, I think it's a worsted weight, and she uses 2, is that right? Yes, that's right. She uses 2 strands of fingering weight to create that gauge, and I've decided, instead of knitting with 2 strands of fingering weight, that I'm going to use the larger worsted weight. There we go. The word wasn't coming to me again. So I've decided to use a worsted weight. I am a bit nervous because I'm afraid it's going to be very warm. So I'm trying to make myself wait to purchase any more worsted weight yarn to turn into one of those tank tops until I have finished one and I know whether or not it is definitely too warm. If so, there's nothing that says I can't make one and use it as like a layering piece for the fall, because that would also be really nice to have. So maybe I'll make it anyway and figure out when I'll wear it once I have it completed. But anyway, I have added so many things to my cart that I had a slight panic attack at seeing the dollar amount, and I quickly ran away. So that has not been ordered yet, but I am really interested, and it may be something in the next week or two as kind of a congratulations to me on getting into this next season for sourdough, because it's going to get really busy and I'm going to need projects to work on while I'm baking or while I'm sitting at the farmer's market selling all of the bread. So that'd be kind of fun. And when I can do something like this where I can talk to you and knit and do the same thing at the markets, that's really nice. And I keep feeling in my hand to make sure that I have that Kremke still there. So as far as anything else that I have acquired, I did also purchase some yarn. I had actually ran to Walmart, purchased a couple things for my display for the sourdough. We had a market this last Saturday, and when I was there, I always look at their yarn just to see if they have anything new. They do sometimes rotate, but they had the Lion brand Kaboo in stock. I have been drawn to these yarns for quite a long time, but I've never purchased any. And this one I decided to purchase because I found a couple different like bralette patterns, and I thought that would be really fun to make out of this yarn. It is 51% cotton and 49% bamboo, so I thought that'd be kind of a nice blend to use as a bralette, and I think that this would make a perfect piece to wear under my oversized Tolsta Tee. So that was part of my reasoning behind purchasing this. I am pretty sure that I can make a bralette in one skein, but I did purchase 2 of each of these colors just in case, because I haven't actually picked out a specific bralette pattern yet. Look at me almost dropping stitches. Fix that. The other skein that I purchased is kind of this dusty pink color, and let me see here. The blue is called Steel Blue, and the dusty pink, the color name is Mauve. So I did purchase those, and then I also found, which I was really excited about, trying to keep it out of your view, was this skein of Bernat Baby Blanket, and, Bernat Blanket. And this was something that I was incredibly excited to find. I had found it online on Joann's website, but they did not have it in stock at the store, and they did not have it available to ship. It was kind of a, if you find it here, good for you. If not, sorry, good luck trying to find it. So when it popped up at my Walmart, I snagged it so fast because this is what I plan on using for my niece's dragon. Let me take a drink before I lose my voice. So this was a beautiful multicolor purple. There are bits of gray in there, and I was really excited about this, especially because with the other yarn that I used on the Green Dragon, you can see how things don't exactly line up, how it's kind of mismatched, and then even here you can see how it kind of comes together, and I actually really love this look. So for me to make a whole dragon in one of these variegated yarns, I was much happier in making this purchase knowing that I was likely going to be really excited about the outcome. So that was something that I decided to purchase. It is in the color Purple Sunset, and I'm so incredibly excited about this. I will be making one of these for my niece. However, like I was saying earlier, these dragons are going to be for Christmas, and her birthday is going to be coming up here very shortly. So I decided rather than making her a dragon for her birthday, I'm going to save it for Christmas as well with her brothers. And then I'm going to make her a little mini bunny, that pattern that I've shared with you the last few weeks. I'm going to be making that. I did finally look at the pattern and figured out that it is with the Bernat Blanket yarn. So I have plenty of the, actually I'm going to use the, let me set this aside before it, oh, exactly what I was trying to have not happen. So I do have plenty of this kind of tan yarn that I used here, and that's what I'm going to be making her bunny in. So that's probably going to be cast on this week as well. I'm really hoping that one's not too complicated, but after doing something like these, I think I'm going to be just fine. I just think it's going to be much smaller, so we'll see. But other than that, I am really wanting to get started on, well, obviously continuing my Tolsta Tee, And then starting the field day cardigan is going to be my next project that I'm going to be casting on. And since I've only got the one knitting project right now, I'm going to be casting the field day cardigan on, but then I may end up casting on maybe that, what's the pattern? The Soho top. When that yarn comes in, I may cast that one on next, just because I am so excited about trying more of like a tank top style. And if I do really like that yarn, I'm going to be going crazy purchasing a bunch of that and probably making a few of those over the course of the summer. I really have the impression that it's going to be a quick knit and something that I'm going to have a ton of use for over the summer especially. And then otherwise, those are the biggest things that I'm going to be working on for the upcoming week. Like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the month, we will have the markets starting, so that's going to be every single Saturday. So my uploading schedule may get pushed to being on Mondays, kind of more permanently, but I'm going to just kind of play with my schedule a little bit and see how I can make it work. I may end up skipping a week, and that way then I can still film, edit throughout the week, and then maybe have it for you on a Friday afternoon, so that way you've got it to watch over the weekend. So I'm going to kind of play with that and see what works best. But otherwise, I have been doing a lot of preparation for those markets, the weekly ones, as far as making sure that I have more display pieces available and trying to get some other options for when I do have produce. Right now I have some things started in the garden as far as root vegetables or peas, things along those lines, and then I still have not started any seeds. I think we have 3 or 4 weeks until our last frost here, and I'm so incredibly behind. It kind of frustrates me, but at the same time, I talked to a lot of people at the market yesterday, and most people haven't started almost anything because they've kind of been in the same, incredibly busy state of mind lately. So that's okay. I'm just kind of taking it as it goes. I'm not going to worry about it too much because the sourdough bread is the primary focus of my business at this point. I just enjoy growing enough to be able to share with my community, and it's kind of a nice perk to be able to sell it at those markets as well. So I'll be working on that as well, and then just trying to get some things done here. The way that our climate is here in the high, it's kind of like a weird area of Arizona. So I'm up north, but I'm not in Flagstaff. So I am in a very desert area, but I don't have any of the snow or rain or weather that they get over there. We have a lot of wind, and I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it's pretty substantial today. I can see some flags out my window, and they're completely horizontal. You can see them very clear. And that's pretty typical for about 11 o'clock on throughout all of the springtime. So it does make it difficult to do certain projects here outside, but that does mean that I am able to spend more time inside working on some of these knitted projects, so that's just fine with me as well. I have had a wonderful time sharing with you my progress and everything that I'm working on as far as my knitting right now. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!